So after seeing that there is a lot of content which is very rich in culture, there's a lot of folk musicians who are also coming on CG Network and using this platform for having a discussion among themselves, for sharing their talents with each other. We actually ran another program called Sangeet Swa, and I'll be very briefly talking about it. So the traffic which we generated was just in 1.5 months, we spoke about it only to 10 people. It grew to 4,500 people who recorded 4,500 posts. I mean, 450 people recorded 4,500 posts. 20,000 times they called and generated a lot of data, which we are using for various machine learning and computer science algorithms, which I'm happy to discuss offline. But this is the kind of impact which even a system like Sangeet Swara, which is not satiating any instrumental need, which is just satiating the need of entertainment, has. So we can easily imagine that what kind of impact CG Network would have, where we are fixing hand pumps, where we are fixing schools, education, and stuff like that. I'm a blind person, so I couldn't get educated. I want to thank you because you enabled all blind persons to get in touch and share. No matter how much I praise, it won't be enough. You are like my father, my God. I want to thank you again and again. This small kid wants to respect you from the bottom of the heart. I want to welcome you again and again. And these are the quotes from people who are 17 to 20 years old, who have no introduction to internet at all. Because when I was interviewing them, I was asking them question, what is Facebook? And most of the times, their answer was, I don't know Facebook, but I have an account in Bank of India. So just the term, do you have a Facebook account? They actually associate account as Bank of India. So after the success of CGNet Swerve, there were more than 24 organizations which actually reached us as the technology partner Microsoft, where they wanted to replicate the model. But the existing model on which CGNet Swerve, the existing technology on which CGNet Swerve runs is extremely complicated, especially for non-profit organizations who doesn't have enough technical expertise. So that is why we designed another system called IVR Junction, which actually facilitates easy creation of CGNet Swerve voice forums, but also connect your IVR system to a global social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and SkyDrive. So what it means is whatever person in a village is recording is going to come onto your Facebook feed. And which is a very important step, because now we are actually pushing people not only to generate, to consume the content, but generate the content through simple mobile phones. And IVR Junction has been used by women rights activists in Bangalore. After 2012 Delhi gang rape, there was a lot of hue and cry. But one important segment was missing, which was low income, low literate people who don't have access to internet. Because they can't go and to a demonstration site because they lose their daily wage. They don't have Facebook and Twitter so that they can comment on it. So how do they raise their opinions? How do they raise their voices? And that is when a system like IVR Junction comes into picture, where they pick up their phone call a number, record their sentiment, and that sentiment is shared with all other similar people who don't have access to internet, but is also shared with you because all these recordings goes on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And because a lot of people in the audience are from government, so IVR Junction is being used by government of Somaliland to facilitate a direct communication channel between government officials and rural tribal people. The biggest problem in Somaliland is there is a lot of misinterpretation and misinformation between government officials and between rural tribal people, because all the intermediaries are sort of corrupt. So they actually change the information as and when it passes through them. So using IVR Junction, we provided a platform where people call in and have a direct communication. Because of the time, I'll be happy to have a longer conversation offline. And more than 30,000 voices have been heard using IVR Junction. I don't have time, right? Because, okay. So I just want to share these two slides, two lessons which I have learned, which we have learned. The first is technology amplifies human intent and capacity. It doesn't substitute for them. So if you are trying to introduce technology into this, do not forget that technology is not the solution. Technology is just going to amplify your existing efforts. It's just going to amplify what you guys have already been doing. And if you want to introduce technology, then people forget about the technology, and users must trust the system. And for this, you need to have a really good hold on the ground. I mean, especially for various organizations, I mean, you would need to partner with trusted grassroots organizations if you want to amplify your effort. And we have seen that people talk about more data more data coming in machine learning. And despite being a computer scientist, I would say that more data is not always good, especially for ICTD, information and communication technologies for development. It's very important to have right data, correct data. Because if in the educational project which we have seen, if people are reporting false information, then it is of no use. So there has to be very stringent fact verification protocols. And lastly, don't overestimate and underestimate end users. People always make that fault. Sometimes people think that smartphones are very easy to use, or people assume that smartphones are very hard to use. I mean, I have seen people who have swiftly understood smartphones, though they were first time interacting with the technology. And I know a lot of people who, despite having various trainings, are unable to send an SMS. So you have to understand your users very carefully before you introduce any technology. Thank you.
Vivek.
I didn't get to see how it functions, but whatever people post, how is it searched? How do people find out what to listen to?
So how do people find out what to listen to? So I mean, because of various cost-related constraints, I mean, on an IVR channel, you listen to top 4 recent posts. So this is how it works. You call a number. It says press 1 if you want to record a message, and press 2 if you want to listen to a message. So when you press 2, then you listen to the top 4 or recent 4 messages which are published by the moderators. But then we have also designed some complicated voice forums where you can actually have a question or a post and then responses followed by post. I mean, that was in Somaliland. So the interactions could be much richer and much deeper.
May I add to that? Once you have the infrastructure. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just asking if you're scaling this up to other states.
Yes, definitely. So I mean, scale up is a big plan for us. So I mean, though our servers are based in, I mean, though it started in Chhattisgarh, we are already in multiple states. So we are in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Rajasthan. And I mean, soon you'll hear more.
There's UP in the middle.
Yes. So not as much in UP, but
Not as much as UP as yet.
that is why we are here in this workshop, to make sure that there are people who will come and talk to us and would want to do this here.
Question I have is about the net cost for setting up a system like this and recurring cost for running it.
Right.
The moderators, the backend that's required. IVR, so that means the user's paying for the call, right?
So in this model, none of these projects which I have told, people are paying, because whenever you ask them to pay, they don't pay. They don't pay. So these all are toll-free numbers. And there is the biggest sustainability challenge. And we are doing a lot of research to make sure that how we can reduce the operational cost, which are moderators. Moderators earn a salary of around 10 to 15,000 rupees a month. And it completely depends on how big your voice forum is. But the biggest problem which we have is how do you make sure that call costs are subsidized. So right now we are sort of funded by various organizations. But if a government takes up, then they can always, make partnerships with MNOs, and then they can subsidize or reduce the call cost. But call cost is something which is going to skyrocket as soon as you'll get as soon as you scale. So that is something to think about for sure.
Can you also link it with, like, you have these free calling or subsidized calling through Skype or something like this? So you can call a mobile phone.
That's very interesting. The problem with Skype is that there are a lot of regulations surrounding it for VoIP-based calling. So I mean, you would have to get around of those regulations. And sorry.
And also internet.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day,
No, I will need an internet if I want to make a call. But
in
the
rural
receiver,
Chhattisgarh, you will not have a user who will have internet access.
no, the
They
user
have
may
phone
not
access.
have Skype. If I want to call his mobile using Skype technology,
So-
I pay Skype at a
But
very
you-
subsidized rate.
No, but you will be paying a lot if you use those services, like Skype to telephone. Skype to Skype is free. But if you call using Skype-based services to a telephone number, then it's actually very expensive. So you pay around 9.2 cents per minute, and for Google it's like 2 cents per minute. So I mean, again, regular models are much cheaper.
Any other questions?
This IVR junction platform that you have created, is it free to use for anybody or just for CGNets?
No, it's free and open source. I should have highlighted it. The platform I was talking of, IVR Junction, that's free and open source, so you can go on ivrjunction.org and you can download the software and can start using it.
So the only cost that I will start incurring apart from the platform that is coming for free is the telco cost.
The telco cost, the cost of servers, the cost of lines. Server, yeah, I mean your computer on which you'll run it.
On which you will download the
I will have to find a person who will be hosting this.
Yes, this is not a cloud telephony solution. So this is something which you will have a server, you'll install the software, and then you'll be a system administrator. So you will decide what to code, what to.